So the Democratic Socialists of America, which is the group, the largest group that's backing Mamdani to run for the mayor of New York City, they're brushing off Israel's ceasefire with Hamas. They called for more resistance to Israel's apartheid and occupation of Gaza. They released a statement on their website. It says, "This will not end Israel's assault on the Palestinian people or the theft and occupation of Palestinian lands. The occupied West Bank and Jerusalem, eroding under illegal shelter expansion, continue to struggle under violent Israeli apartheid and occupation."
So that is the group that finances, and that's a platform he's running on. So Mamdani's ceasefire statement isn't much better. It says there is finally a glimmer of hope that this ceasefire will hold and the long, difficult work of reconstruction can begin. We must work towards a future built upon justice, one without occupation and apartheid, really, and for a world where every person can live with safety and dignity. He had a terrible statement on the October 7th, marking that day, and this isn't much better. Apartheid still brings that up.
So I used to cover Democratic Socialists of America because they were often linked with the campus groups all over the country. And I went on their website. I used to think of the Democratic Socialists of America as Bernie and AOC. They have totally changed. The faces, if you go to the website right now, you see Zohran Mamdani and you see Rashida Tlaib. And you see all these causes for justice for Palestine. It's not just about economics, wealth redistribution to fund the police. They're a Free Palestine group right now. This is dangerous, what they believe in is anti-American, and it's very clear the anti-Semitic tropes that they continue to shout.
Well, there are some individuals here in New York that have condemned this. You have New York City Councilwoman Ina Vernikov, who is Jewish. She lashed out at Mamdani soon afterward, calling his statement a word salad and noting the absence of any mention of Hamas or its crimes. You have Andrew Cuomo, the former governor who is running against Mamdani for mayor, noted how long it took the Democratic Socialist candidate to address the ceasefire. He says his silence speaks volumes. And there's also criticism of Mamdani's wife because she publicly mourned the death of a Palestinian social media influencer who was praising Hamas's actions on October 7th.
Right, and his ideas are ridiculous. They said that if he's going to put ahead things like free buses, it's going to cost the city $800 million. And he doesn't even have control over eliminating that. His proposals are really idiotic, and the socialist principles will not work. And the things that he wants to do, mayors don't even have the power to do. But that's who they say has a nice smile, and he's going to be on with that smile on the story at 3 p.m. today.
You won't be smiling if his policies are implemented, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be on with Martha MacCallum, and she's going to come up on Fox and Friends to preview that.
They have a debate tomorrow. Curtis Sliwa, it's one and only. Curtis Sliwa, Andrew Cuomo, I think it's one and only, and Mamdani together. That's going to be must-see TV.
Yep.
And also, Eric Adams says he's considering endorsing Cuomo. So if that's another 10%, that's another 10%.
A Democratic Socialist group that is backing Zohran Mamdani, his run for mayor, is condemning the Gaza ceasefire, saying, quote, "This will not end Israel's assault on the Palestinian people or the theft and occupation of the Palestinian lands. The occupied West Bank and Jerusalem eroding under illegal shelter or settler expansion continue to struggle under violent Israeli apartheid and occupation."
Meanwhile, Mamdani is facing criticism for posting something similar, saying there is finally a glimmer of hope that this ceasefire will hold and the long, difficult work of reconstruction can begin. We must work toward a future built upon justice, one without occupation and apartheid, and for a world where every person can live with safety and dignity.
Apartheid, nice. Let's bring in the host and executive editor of the story, Martha MacCallum.
Good morning,
Martha,
guys.
Hey, Martha.
big interview today.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We've been wanting him to come over here and talk to us at Fox for quite some time, so we're looking forward to having him this afternoon.
What's going to be your approach?
Well, they have a huge debate tomorrow night, and he's going to be grilled on a lot of the issues that we have just been bringing up. Obviously, there's things that are happening with regard to Gaza that you guys are just reporting, and we'd like to get his feedback on that. Also, I think we want to talk about public safety. We want to talk about the economy, the things that are really compelling and will be the work that he has in front of him if he's elected. He's ahead by 13 points right now. So, obviously, Cuomo is hoping that this is going to be a big night to shift this dynamic. 13 points apart right now. Sliwa will try to take a crack at it tomorrow night as well. But, sometimes debates can be game changers. So this is where the focus will be.
Yeah, if you look at the big board behind you, Martha, this is the Democratic Socialists of America. This is their agenda. They're his biggest supporters. Get rid of mandatory minimum prison sentences, close ICE detention facilities, give health insurance to illegal immigrants. And the chapter leader said, quote, our endorsed candidates are expected to follow the will of the membership.
That's exactly right. And, you look at AOC, you look at Bernie Sanders, you look at Moran Zamdani, they want to be the future of politics in New York City and beyond. This is the largest capitalist center in the world, New York City. So one of the big questions, I think, is how do you go about running that from this kind of position? Also, you have people who are very concerned about their safety. I talked to young people around asking them what their thoughts are because he has a huge central base of young people. He's also managed to bring over some of the people who were sort of open to Trump, working class voters in Queens and Astoria and some of these places, South Asian voters that he's really catered to. So he has a lot of questions to answer. He's very young. He doesn't have a lot of experience running things. So those are some of the things that we're going to focus on. But safety is huge. And, you look at every week there's another horrific story. Right. And you ask yourself, how was this person on the street? So I think that's one of the things we want to focus on.
Well, you have a difficult task, too, Martha, because this is the interview we all been waiting for. He puts his policy prescription. He has all these past comments. And then his campaign will release a statement saying, OK, he doesn't quite mean that. Or he'll say, I want to clarify. But then his Achilles heel, he goes back to those same policy positions. So do you think you're going to be able to get a clear answer? Whatever he believes on it, we just want a clear answer on that.
Well, that's what we're going to try to do. Politicians do evolve, and he's saying that I have changed my opinions on these things. You think about what he said about New York City police officers, racist, anti-queer, and part of the public safety problem in the city. He has said he no longer believes that, and he has said that he will apologize to the police at large and to the city at large for those comments. So, I think without getting too far down the road and where we want to go later today, I think that's one of the things we want to talk about.
One of the things he said on that, and they said, well, are you going to apologize for your statements? He was asked on Channel 5. And his response was, I see cops individually and I speak to them individually. That's no.
Yeah.
The other thing is, on his ridiculous, I'm going to give free buses and they're going to go faster, the Washington Post finds that would cost the city $800 million a year. That's $50 million less than what New York is spending to build that new stadium for the Buffalo Bills. And the freezing rent thing is a non-starter. It fails all the time because this thing called logical capitalistic economics.
Well, you do have to wonder if you freeze, not all apartments are rent stabilized.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people in this city who are struggling to make their rent. But when you put caps on it, what happens at the buildings? Do they maintain them? Do they find other ways to figure out how to get that money back, to increase their own margins because they're trying to run and own the building? So there's a lot of issues that people want to drill down on.
I want to know, what is he going to do? I mean, if we look behind us, all these buildings, that's capitalism that built that, not socialism. Socialist countries, we've seen in the past, the leaders in charge, the dictators, want to take all of these buildings and pull them away from people who have worked hard to pay for them all. And then also corporate tax, he wants to increase that. He wants to get rid of the bonuses for all of the people in New York that are bankers. How does he expect all of these individuals that depend on the work here in New York and provide so many jobs to stay here? They're all going to move to Florida, to Tennessee, to Texas.
We've heard him in prior interviews say that, time tells us that they don't leave, that they have enough money and they don't want to leave New York. So if you increase their taxes by a couple percentage points, they tend not to leave. I mean, one of the other questions that I have is that, these are the people who pay for so much of of the tax base.
Right.
So much of what happens in New York
Charities.
City, the arts, hospitals, schools. I mean, these people give millions and millions of dollars to all of these things that make this city run. So you really don't want to chase them out the door. So that is, you know, it's one of the big questions for sure.
Well, we'll see. Eric Adams says he's going to make a decision soon if he's going to endorse Cuomo. I don't know how much that's going to matter if he waits any longer, but every percentage points matter.
We'll be watching at 3.
We'll be watching. I'm sure we'll be playing clips tomorrow. Congratulations on this big get.
Thanks. We'll look forward to it. Look forward to having him.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.